Whatever happened to the American dream? From glittering skyscrapers that once touched the clouds to endless rows of tattered tents beneath crumbling overpasses, something has changed. Something big. In this eye-opening journey, we delve into the hidden corners of the United States' most iconic cities to uncover a reality that few dare to acknowledge. Behind the polished facades and postcard skylines lies a world unraveling. Boarded-up businesses, streets heavy with the stench of decay, and the haunting cries of those society has left behind. Places that once thrived as powerhouses of culture, innovation, and commerce are now grappling with economic collapse, spiraling crime, and a homelessness crisis that grows more visible by the day. Are these cities fighting for redemption, or slipping into a darkness they may never escape? Join us on Secret Journeys as we expose a truth far removed from the polished images we're used to seeing. First stop: San Francisco, from tech capital to urban meltdown. Once the glittering jewel of California, San Francisco stood as a shining symbol of human ambition and technological marvel. Nicknamed the Golden City, this was a place where dreams were coded into reality, where entrepreneurs, creatives, and visionaries flocked to build the future beneath the misty glow of the Bay. But now, that same mist seems to cover something else entirely: a city in crisis. Want to uncover what lies behind the fall of this digital empire? Stay with us to see how San Francisco's tech-fueled rise may have planted the seeds of its own decline. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Secret Journeys so you don't miss the rest of this shocking series. Once hailed as the crown jewel of innovation and prosperity, San Francisco now finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with challenges that have transformed its urban landscape. The silent exodus. San Francisco's office spaces stand empty. In the heart of the city, towering skyscrapers that once buzzed with activity now echo with silence. As of early 2025, San Francisco's office vacancy rate has soared to an unprecedented 35.9%, marking the highest in the city's history. This stark figure reflects a broader shift towards remote work, with tech giants like Salesforce and Airbnb reducing their physical footprints. The once thriving downtown corridors, filled with cafes and bustling sidewalks, now resemble ghost towns, their vibrancy diminished by the absence of daily commuters. Retail retreat. The decline of San Francisco's shopping districts. The retail sector mirrors this downturn. Major retailers, including Nordstrom and Walgreens, have shuttered numerous locations, citing challenges like organized retail crime and declining foot traffic. The iconic San Francisco Center Mall, once a shopping haven, has seen its occupancy plummet, with over 50% of its stores closed. The departure of anchor tenants has left a void, both economically and culturally, in the city's commercial heart. A city at a crossroads, reflecting on San Francisco's future. These developments prompt a critical question. Can San Francisco reclaim its former glory, or are we witnessing a transformation that will redefine its identity? The challenges are multifaceted, encompassing economic shifts, public safety concerns, and changing work dynamics. What are your thoughts on San Francisco's evolving landscape? Do you believe the city can adapt and thrive amidst these challenges? Share your perspectives in the comments below. Once a thriving port city that echoed with the sounds of shipyards, steel mills, and the heartbeat of a proud working-class community, Baltimore today stands at a fragile intersection between resilience and collapse. The city's infrastructure tells a troubling story. Nearly a quarter of its bridges are now classified as structurally deficient, requiring urgent repairs simply to remain safe. Crossing them feels less like part of a daily commute and more like a silent gamble with fate, as rusted steel groans under years of wear and neglect. But Baltimore's crisis goes far beyond its crumbling overpasses. Over the past decade, the city has seen a population decline of nearly 10%. Neighborhoods that once pulsed with laughter, conversation, and a deep-rooted sense of belonging now echo with silence. Entire blocks of once pristine row houses sit abandoned, windows shattered, porches sunken, and brick walls overtaken by ivy and decay. The scent of damp earth and mold hangs in the air, carried by the wind through streets where few feet walk anymore. Strolling through these hollowed-out districts evokes a powerful sense of loss. The street vendors, the children playing ball in the alleyways, the clatter of cutlery in busy diners, all have faded, replaced by the eerie hush of boarded doors and empty stoops. This is more than urban decay. It's the unraveling of a city's soul, a slow fading of the spirit that once gave Baltimore its identity. Years of industrial decline, economic disinvestment, and a draining exodus of capital have stripped the city to its core. And yet, hope hasn't vanished. In pockets of the city, you'll find the heartbeat of resistance. Community gardens are blooming where abandoned lots once stood. Murals explode in color across cracked walls, reclaiming the space with beauty and meaning. Local organizers, artists, and residents are working relentlessly to weave hope back into the city's frayed fabric. Baltimore may be bruised, but it is not broken. The question that remains is, can this city rewrite its narrative, not just repair its bridges, but rebuild its spirit? Can it rise again, not from top-down investment alone, but through the strength of those who never gave up? Let us know in the comments. Do you believe Baltimore can rise from the ashes and reclaim its place in the American story? And if this deep dive into urban transformation intrigued you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Secret Journey, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next powerful story. This was once the city where tech titans like Amazon and Microsoft turned a quiet, rainy port town into a global powerhouse of innovation and wealth. Seattle became a symbol of progress, a place where ambition met opportunity in the cloud-covered skyline. But look past the glow of glass towers and digital revolutions, and you'll see the cracks beneath the surface growing wider with each passing year. According to the 2025 Zillow Housing Report, the median home price in Seattle has surged past $850,000. For teachers, service workers, and even young professionals with promising careers, the idea of owning a home is slipping further out of reach, like a ferry fading into the fog of Puget Sound. The American dream of homeownership here has been rebranded into a luxury only the wealthy can afford. But the imbalance doesn't stop at the housing market. Since the start of the pandemic, nearly 40% of the small businesses in downtown Seattle have permanently shut their doors. Cafes that once buzzed with conversation, charming bookstores where ideas were exchanged, family-owned restaurants that fed generations, gone. Their windows now sit dark, boarded up, with locks that may never be turned again. The warm hum of community has been replaced by a cold and haunting quiet. Layered over this economic downturn is a deepening humanitarian crisis. As the cost of living climbs ever higher, homelessness in Seattle has exploded. Public parks, sidewalks, and underpasses have transformed into sprawling encampments, entire tent cities forming within the city limits. Here, daily life becomes a test of survival, where the simple act of staying dry or warm can be a challenge. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee, once the signature scent of Seattle mornings, now blends with the sharp, heavy notes of hardship and desperation hanging in the misty air. Seattle's story today is a powerful warning. Unchecked growth, no matter how dazzling, can leave too many behind. A city born from dreams of innovation and creativity now finds itself at a crossroads. Will it find a way to reconnect economic success with social responsibility? Or will it continue drifting toward a future where prosperity is reserved for a privileged few? And this isn't just about Seattle. The path this city chooses could set the tone for urban centers around the world that are racing toward the shiny promise of tech-driven success. So now we ask you, what kind of future do you believe Seattle deserves? Can innovation and compassion coexist? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. A district once fighting for survival is now becoming a living canvas, a symbol of rebirth etched in bold strokes across decaying brick and cracked cement. What used to be rows of derelict warehouses now echo with a different rhythm. Not the roar of assembly lines, but the sound of brushes against walls, music spilling from open doors, and voices that dare to imagine again. Detroit's soul, once silenced by collapse, is finding new ways to speak through art, expression, and creative resilience. According to the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, art-driven revitalization projects have surged by nearly 30% since 2023. Murals now bloom across boarded-up storefronts, Abandoned lots are being reclaimed for open-air galleries and performance spaces, and once-forgotten neighborhoods are slowly coming back to life. Not through industry, but through imagination. It's not just gentrification, it's resurrection by those who refuse to give up on their city. Detroit teaches us that even in the shadow of collapse, there can be rebirth. In the cracks left by economic devastation, seeds of creativity are taking root. A new spirit is rising, not loudly, but persistently, whispering that a city once known for machines might just reinvent itself through dreams. And now, shifting west, we arrive in Portland, a city that once stood as a beacon for green living and progressive ideals. Known for its lush parks, bike-friendly avenues, and eco-conscious mindset, Portland marketed itself as an urban paradise built for the future. But beneath the canopy of towering firs and rows of solar panels, an unsettling truth has begun to grow, a crisis that the city never imagined would unfold so rapidly. As of early 2025, nearly 6,000 people in Portland live without any form of permanent shelter, a staggering figure that has more than doubled in just a decade. According to Oregon Housing Alliance data, the downtown area now presents a striking and painful contrast. Spaces that once held picnics, families, and the warmth of weekend gatherings have become crowded with makeshift tent cities. Underneath Portland's iconic bridges, once celebrated as architectural emblems of connection, entire communities have formed, each camp a silent chronicle of survival, hardship, and being forgotten. The sweet scent of rain-soaked earth, once a hallmark of the Pacific Northwest's charm, now mingles with the bitterness of exhaustion and despair. It's a cruel irony, a city built on promises of inclusivity and environmental harmony, now suffocating under a humanitarian crisis that continues to spiral. Skyrocketing housing prices, stagnant wages, and a mental health system stretched beyond its limits have created the perfect storm, leaving thousands stranded. Despite millions being poured into initiatives to address the issue, the sidewalks tell another story. A story of frayed safety nets, widening gaps, and citizens slipping through them. The green heart of Portland still beats, but its rhythm is heavy, with urgency, with burden, and with the haunting question of what went wrong. Can Portland reignite its promise of compassion and equity, or is it slowly watching its once revolutionary ideals fade beneath layers of bureaucratic fatigue and social collapse? We want to hear from you. What do you believe is the future of cities like Portland? Is real change possible, or are we witnessing a new kind of urban decay in places that were once models of progress? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Shifting our focus to the East Coast, we arrive in Philadelphia, a city built on the bedrock of liberty and independence, now grappling with a reality that's far from its founding ideals. Once the cradle of American democracy, where the Declaration of Independence was signed and the Liberty Bell rang as a symbol of hope, Philly now bears the weight of broken promises and deepening inequality. As of early 2025, nearly 24% of Philadelphia's population lives below the poverty line. That's almost 1 in every 4 residents waking up each day with no clear idea of how they'll make it through the next. The contrast between the city's glorious past and its harsh present is most painfully visible in Kensington. Once a proud working-class neighborhood, now a ground zero in the nation's opioid epidemic. Street after street is lined not with bustling businesses or lively homes, but with crumbling buildings and sidewalks overwhelmed by human suffering. Individuals in states of distress lean against graffiti-stained walls, lost in a haze of addiction that seems to linger endlessly in the air. Just blocks away from Independence Hall, where ideals like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were etched into history, people are fighting a very different battle, one for survival. Efforts to restore these neighborhoods, whether through aid programs or increased police presence, are often overwhelmed by the scale of the crisis. Philadelphia's struggle serves as a sobering reminder that liberty isn't secured by history alone. It must be fought for daily, through empathy, reinvestment, and the rebuilding of fractured communities. Now let's fly west again, to the City of Angels. Known around the world for its red carpets, golden beaches, and endless sunshine, Los Angeles sparkles with the promise of fame and fortune. But pull back the glittering curtain, and a far darker narrative begins to emerge. As of 2025, Over 75,000 people are experiencing homelessness in LA, a number that eclipses the population of entire cities. Just blocks from the glamour of Hollywood and the tourists snapping selfies along the Walk of Fame, Skid Row has become an open-air monument to desperation. Tent-lined sidewalks stretch for blocks, where the smell of trash and trauma hangs heavy in the air. City officials have launched periodic cleanup campaigns, but critics argue these efforts suspiciously coincide with major events like the Oscars or global summits, seeming more like attempts to hide the crisis than solve it. The divide is brutal. While champagne flows in rooftop lounges, a mother a few blocks away struggles to keep her children warm through another night on the street. Los Angeles is a city that sells dreams on every corner, but for tens of thousands, those dreams have soured into survival struggles. It begs a haunting question. What happens when a city becomes so obsessed with image that it forgets its soul? And now we head into the American heartland, Chicago. Known as the Windy City, it once embodied resilience, reinvention, and raw strength. But lately, the storms it's weathering aren't just in the skies. Since the pandemic, violent crime has surged by nearly 30%. Streets that once buzzed with life and music now hum with tension. Residents move through their neighborhoods with a quiet unease, and many have chosen to leave altogether. In the past decade alone, more than 80,000 people have left the city, driven away by fears for their safety and the rising cost of living. Neighborhoods that once thrived with backyard barbecues, corner stores, and tight-knit communities now echo with silence. It's as if Chicago itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to change. But if history has taught us anything, it's that this city doesn't back down. Chicago rebuilt after the Great Fire. It birthed blues music in the shadow of struggle. Now, it faces a new test. Can its indomitable spirit carry it through this latest storm? Now we land in New York City, the symbol of ambition and the place where dreams are said to come true. But beneath the glow of Times Square and the towering skylines of Manhattan, another version of New York tells a starkly different story. As of 2025, more than 60,000 people sleep without shelter in the 5 boroughs. That's enough to fill Madison Square Garden 3 times over, not with cheering fans, but with the invisible and forgotten, clutching blankets beside subway grates and alley walls. The once bustling financial district, long the beating heart of capitalism, now feels eerily hollow. The rise of remote work has emptied many office towers, their mirrored facades now casting long, lonely shadows. Rooftop parties carry on under string lights and skyline views, while just a few feet below, someone huddles against the wind with only a tattered coat for protection. New York has always been a city of contrasts, of power and poverty, success and suffering. But now that gap is wider than ever. Luxury condos rise while shelters overflow. Billion-dollar developments march upward while basic human dignity collapses at street level. How long can a city built on dreams continue to ignore the nightmares playing out beneath its feet? What's your take? Which of these cities surprised you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe these stories need to be seen, support us by giving this video a like and subscribing to Secret Journey. Hit the bell so you won't miss our next dive into the unseen, the unheard, and the unforgettable. Welcome to St. Louis, a city once celebrated as the gateway to the American West, a symbol of movement, expansion, and promise. But today, walking through its heart feels like stepping into a place suspended in time. The clock here hasn't just slowed down. For many, it feels like it has stopped completely. In 2025, St. Louis holds one of the highest violent death rates in the entire country, with more than 60 murders per 100,000 residents. That staggering number casts a long, chilling shadow over daily life. In many neighborhoods, safety isn't an expectation, it's a cautious hope. But the violence is just the tip of a much deeper issue. Roughly half of the residential properties in downtown St. Louis now stand abandoned. Their shattered windows, rotting porches, and creaking doors are physical scars of a city that once thrived. Entire blocks sit in silence, no laughter from porches, no buzz from corner stores, only the wind slipping through forgotten streets like a ghost of the past. Walking through these once proud neighborhoods feels like visiting a living ghost town, a space trapped somewhere between the memory of its golden days and the uncertainty of what lies ahead. And yet, even in the stillness, something stirs. Local artists have begun to breathe life into Decay, turning crumbling walls into canvases for bold, vivid murals. Along the riverfront, former warehouse districts are slowly transforming into hubs of creativity. Music venues, art cafes, and bustling farmers markets. According to the St. Louis Development Corporation, revitalization projects have surged by nearly 25% since 2023, a hopeful sign that something resilient still beats within this city's bones. But one question burns beneath it all. Can art, community, and grassroots revival truly melt the ice that has frozen St. Louis in place for so long? Or is this flicker of hope just a flash in a landscape still ruled by neglect? As we close this journey through 10 American cities, one truth stands out. What lies beyond the skyscrapers, the urban noise, and the polished city brochures is a deeper, more painful narrative. A story of imbalance, of dreams deferred. Today, across the United States, economic inequality is reaching alarming levels. The wealthy rise higher while the working class slips further toward the edge. Luxury towers now rise above sprawling tent cities, haunting reminders that prosperity, in its current form, is not meant for everyone. The housing crisis is swallowing the country whole. Soaring prices have pushed millions out of the housing market entirely, forcing record numbers into homelessness. In cities once heralded as beacons of stability and growth, finding an affordable, safe place to live has become a daily fight for survival. Public safety is unraveling too. Crime rates are rising. Once thriving neighborhoods sit half-empty, their communities fraying at the edges. More than just economic struggle, these cities are grappling with a collapse in trust, a fading belief that things can get better. But perhaps the most heartbreaking casualty of all is the loss of faith in the American dream. That sacred notion that with hard work and perseverance, anyone could build a better life, now feels increasingly out of reach. For millions, it's not just distant, it's broken. The cities we visited were once vibrant symbols of opportunity and ambition. Today, they stand at a crossroads. Will they find a path back to renewal? Or are we witnessing the slow, painful unraveling of a dream once believed to be unshakable? This isn't just their story, it's ours. So we leave you with a question. Are we watching the transformation of a nation or the end of an era? We'd love to hear from you. Have you visited any of these cities? What changes have you seen firsthand? Do you believe real renewal is still possible? If this journey moved you, helped you reflect, or opened your eyes, please give this video a like, subscribe to Secret Journey, and share it with those who also care about the world beyond the headlines. Your curiosity, your voice, and your compassion help keep these essential conversations alive. Thank you for traveling with us. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and never stop looking beyond.